Ballyhoo and welcome. The Passion Project continues. My name is Remedy Riot, and this is an appreciation. This is an exploration of linguistics, language, and how endearing an orphan can be, as framed by the peerless poetry of the modern day master, Elvis Costello. Today's slow drag is with Talking in the Dark, ostensibly from Armed Forces, and then again in many other places, culminating with the Rhino Edsel reissue in 2002. The songwriting is credited to Elvis Costello, starting his journey as the B-side to Accidents Will Happen from Mr. Costello's third album, Armed Forces, released in 1979. This quick driving expression of charming vulnerability appears no fewer than 5 iterations of Mr. Costello's releases, with each placement fitting as if it were specifically designed to be in each of them. Equally as impressive, in my opinion, that is. Unlike malleable gems such as The World and His Wife and Beyond Belief, among others, the lyrics of Talking in the Dark remain the same, regardless of where it's placed. And while it might stand to reason to utter the trite, you can't improve upon perfection notion, there's no need to bring silly cliches into this lovely slow drag. I tried in vain to drive myself insane. I talk to myself, but I don't listen. I found out what I was missing. Self-medicating, a weird sense of failure, a temper tantrum, belligerence, wishful thinking, sudden realization. Even so, it's difficult to assign so many more emotional tricks and traumas to these first 3 lines. The rhyming pairs of vain and sane and listen and missing add a stunning melodic contradiction to the seemingly childish fit being thrown just before an adult realization in such a short amount of time. I miss talking in the dark. Without you, I'm not conversational. Without the sense of the occasional. Without you, I miss talking in the dark. As with the first verse, starting with the same word, I, the second verse uses without to do much of the heavy lifting, regardless that the sentiment is determined to be a fleeting one, less of a permanent need and more of a temporary desire, denoted perhaps by the determination of occasional. The realization that talking in the dark is what's been missing is at once romantic, sexy, selfish, fleeting, and best of all, slightly duplicitous. There seems to be an unspoken comparison taking place in that without you, I behave differently, suggesting a sly admission of infidelity. I could be wrong, of course, but the following declarations could provide more proof. When the barking and the biting is through, we can talk like we're in love, or talk like we're above it. We can talk and talk until we talk ourselves out of it. The talking, of which our narrator laments, funnily enough, feels wrought with tumult and the wrong sort of passion that might accompany the intimate nature of talking in the dark, the kind that is most often associated with budding romance. You know, the kind that gets confused for passion when in reality it's just young impulses pulsating around the room. I love the allusion to pure animal instinct as depicted by man's best friend doing what they do best. The next 2 lines, I believe, perfect in its pattern and banter are why this piece appears so many times without alteration. The identical rhyme of talk is uttered 4 times, interestingly, might depict the depth of conversation taking place, which runs the gamut in love and above it, with the conclusion of how easy it is to talk ourselves out of it. It's a predictable pattern that has been laid down with a journeyman proficiency by our beloved entertainer. I look for the news, somebody to abuse. I look at myself, but it's so chancy. I see things that I don't fancy. Here, external anger wrestles with interior criticism, with self loathing, seemingly edging out outside forces, but just by an inch. As a linguist and confirmed Anglophile, I have a difficult time separating how happy the word fancy makes me with a pragmatic notion of not liking what our narrator sees in the mirror. Nevertheless, the apparent introspection seems commendable, especially after trying to find a scapegoat before ultimately taking accountability. Accountability for what? Even without putting into words, I believe we all know what's what. I miss talking in the dark. Without you, I'm not conversational. Without the sense of the occasional. Without you, I miss talking in the dark. Without you, I miss talking in the dark. Although this is technically a chorus, in the end it seems to signal that no lesson has been learned. Even with all the tumult, the narrator still laments the beginning, middle, and end of this mystery dance that leaves them all both satisfied and debased. This glimpse into the human condition is what perhaps assists in making this little orphan a sparkling darling among the rest.
Dig it.
Again, this has been a slow drag with Talking in the Dark from, well, take your pick. Taking Liberties, 10 Bloody Marys, and 10 How's Your Fathers, which are very nearly identical with a bygone UK-US difference. 2.5 Years, The Very Best of Elvis Costello, Singles Volume 1, and 1993's and 2003's re-releases from Rykodisc and Rhino. It's shocking how this piece that's less than 2 minutes long, with 137 words, many of which are repeated, providing a mere 58 novel words, makes such a lasting impression, keeping in mind that even though Talking in the Dark never officially appeared on any proper studio album, its inclusion on disc 2 of The Very Best of Elvis Costello is that much more remarkable. I bless whatever's in the sky above for all of these gems that Mr. Costello has cultivated over the years. Other gems from Armed Forces you'll enjoy a slow drag with are episode 19, The Breath That I Waste. That's a slow drag with chemistry class. Episode 23, A Simple Game of Self-Respect. That's a slow drag with two little Hitlers. And episode 117, Somebody's Gonna Get It. That's a slow drag with green shirt. If you care to, and I hope you do, please visit slowdragwithremedy.com for written transcripts of each sexy slow drag. It's a place where you can linger over the words, phrases, linguistics, wordplay, and nuanced flourishes of the brilliant Elvis Costello in every episode of Slow Drag with Remedy. As a fellow avid Elvis Costello fan, I'll spare you the silly call to action of asking you to tell your friends about this podcast and blog. We both know they just wouldn't get it. And that's it for today's Slow Drag, my fellow Elvis Costello aficionado. Thank you for listening. I'll be back soon with another Slow Drag. So until next time, adieu, my little ballyhoo. Slow Drag with